Hard Hat's all about showing up to play hard, doing what it takes to win.
If you want to cement legacy, win another.
He's your third center.
You don't want to pump him up too much, but it's hard not to.
This is maybe the most I've ever agreed with you.
Hey, Barry Manning here. Noah Dalzell alongside for our practice report after a ghastly Game 2 loss for the Celtics. Puts them in an 0-2 hole here. A lot of confidence at practice. Jason Tatum, he took responsibility for the struggles, said they're going to make shots. Al Horford, pretty similar message that, you know, they're just going to win on Saturday and try to just get back into the series. Joe Mazzulla talking about some of the finer details that they need to get into here. Some of the reasons for the collapse that, you know, looking back at the game as we watched it, you saw the missed shots. You saw some of the possessions and just great opportunities they had to go up by 20 plus that started to dwindle away into what eventually was a collapse there. What did you make of the mood at practice here today?
I thought we saw a lot of confidence, poise, and understanding that this is not the first time they've been in this kind of situation, that they've had their backs against the walls. Is with this core, you know, Jason Tatum and Al Horford both spoke today. You can watch those full press conferences on CLNS, but I think there's an element of like, you know, it's just 2 games, and it's not that they've done everything wrong, and that, you know, how can they stack up against this team? Like Joe pointed out, that they've won the margins, right? So they've done a lot of things right, and it's just these long stretches where they can't put the ball in the basket that are impossible to overcome in the playoffs.
Yeah, and that's what it's going to come down to. Does the shooting come around? We talked about it last night. They're getting great opportunities. They're not converting them. I know you were asking a lot today about whether that's pressure mounting or related to game 1 and them thinking about it. It feels like they're trying to downplay that, but it might be a small factor.
Yeah, I honestly thought Al's answer when I asked him that was kind of candid. Like, maybe it wasn't necessarily game 1, but it is that feeling of like we're squandering a lead, and it's happened throughout the year for them. I don't think it's specific to the Celtics team. I know Celtics fans that watch them play think they always blow leads, but it's kind of just throughout the NBA these days with just the way the 3-point shot has evolved. But I thought the most interesting thing that anybody said today was Al Horford kind of pointed to the fact that this is not the first time they've undergone this kind of shooting struggle as a team before. It's pretty wild to watch from the outside, where you see a bunch of guys who are good shooters all go cold in dramatic fashion. Like when I rewatched this game this morning, it wasn't just that they missed. They weren't close on any of those shots. They were off by a foot. Like it wasn't. You know
what they are for the series right now?
What are they, 25% from 3?
25 for 100.
Yeah. So and it's 25 shots. So the other 75 haven't even, you know, it's not like they're in and out. And so I think internally they've had discussions throughout the year about what do we do when this happens, because it happened in December and January during that stretch where they were losing games all the time. And I think there's more to that than just like we're ice cold, we don't know what's happening. I think they've had discussions around this, and he kind of pointed to that he said it. And they have to have some sort of contingency plan, or how are they going to uplift one another? How are they going to not get tight? You didn't see that in game 2. You saw guys continuously kind of get more and more tight as their teammates were missing shots.
And I feel the opposite almost. Like I want them to keep shooting the threes.
I know, I do too.
I felt like it would have been better if they had 50, 60 even again in this one, because they're just running into so much resistance inside. The spacing so bad, as they've talked about today. I know everyone wants them to just put their head down and dunk through everyone, but they're doing stupid things around the basket. And even, you know, some plays that weren't stupid, just bad misses, like a Porzingis put back there up 20 that just didn't go in. Those are devastating. And then it goes the other way for a basket. There were some 3-point misses. Like Horford had some really bad ones there, but they're able to get back on defense and get a stop after those. So that's always been Joe's philosophy. And I actually believe in it, because if you're throwing up a 3, you're not turning it over.
Yeah.
You're probably in a pretty good position to get back on defense. And up 20, listen, there's a balance, right? Like you got to take the best shot that's there. But a lot of times that's been a 3 in this series.
I completely agree. And I think it's easy to say, oh, they're just chucking 3s and they have to go to something else. Some of the worst shots they took yesterday were 2s. In fact, probably most of the worst shots
including
they took
Tatum's
yesterday
last
were 2.
one.
Yeah, including, I mean, that wasn't even a shot, right?
Yeah.
But him just driving into traffic and not even being able to get one off, which is the last thing you want in that moment. I thought Jalen had some tough 2s. Al had one just egregious pass up of a, you know, top of the key 3 for a shot that's a lower percentage shot for him.
He had a weird play where he posted up Towns.
But too. I think you started to see it, and there's no reason for them to outright say this. Like, I wouldn't say this either if I were them, but you started to see the discussion around the threes kind of seeped in a little bit.
I felt that too.
And you saw it early on from Tatum that passed up a few. You saw it late from Al after he missed a few. It's human nature. Everybody does it. You know, you don't want to continue to make the same mistake over and over again. But the message from Tatum today at the podium was, we're not going to waver from what works. This worked for us. You know, this is our identity. We're not going to all of a sudden kind of like turn our backs on what's worked for us all year. And I think you're going to see them try to kind of relax, but you're not going to see the 3-point shots decline in game 3. And I don't think the series has been about the 3-point shots. I think it's been about the poise when the Knicks have made a run, and they just haven't had it through 2 games.
Yeah, and Tatum's got to play better. He stressed that today. I don't really know why he hasn't been able to get going to the degree he has. I'd probably love to see him increase his drives more and be able to pass out of those situations. He obviously tried to do that in the last play, but they've been unpredictable in the Knicks defensively. And Joe talked today about how they're changing defenses. I think they're doing some stuff that they didn't do during the regular season. So they're just seem to get caught off guard. And I think Tatum, more than anyone, has been put in some difficult positions, but they got to speed up too. And that's the biggest thing in these situations where they have the lead. I think Al talked about that a little bit today as well. They're slowing down. They got to continue to play with the pace. They got to continue to do all the little things that they do when they've been at their best and when they built these leads to be able to maintain them. It's something that they've done forever, frankly. Like, they've been at their worst almost when they've been up huge in some of these games.
Yeah, and again, like I said, it's not just them. You see throughout the league, the Cavs are up by 17. There were actually a lot of parallels between those 2 games, which is ironic because yesterday, Shooter-Rad and Peyton Pritchard said that on his own accord, he brought up how they were learning from the Cavs' collapse against the Pacers, so they wouldn't make the same mistakes. And yet you saw Josh Hart. He specifically invoked Josh Hart, too, as a guy who was going to crash. Josh Hart had some massive, and he had some massive fourth quarter offensive rebounds, too. So
I have problems with that, too. Like, they're letting him run wherever he wants right now. They're ignoring him. That's not a big topic because the defense has been great. I guess this was the worst Knicks offensive performance of the year on points per possession basis, which is pretty crazy to think about. But his timely plays, his timely baskets were devastating. And then, do you feel any different about the Robinson thing a day later? Because it's still annoying me.
I don't feel differently about it in the sense that I still don't think it's one of the reasons why they lost, the main reasons why they lost this game, but it is a little bit inexplicable. So I give you, like, I think you have every right to pursue that as a question, and I think it should be discussed and it should be reanalyzed. Just when I rewatched this game, the things that stuck out to me was the fact that there were multiple players on the Celtics who could have iced this one with a singular shot. I mean, a single shot goes in the fourth quarter from Al, from Derek, from Jason, or from Jalen,
and Jason,
and this game is over.
In the corner.
Yeah, but it's not even just him. It's like, if you're in the Celtics locker room, normally after a close game, and we'll get back to the Mitchell Robinson thing, but normally after a close game, at one possession game, somebody sitting in that locker room thinking to themselves, I lost this game for my team. Yesterday, it was like 5 people, because there were literally 5 players on that team that had they just made one shot, this game would have been over. And guys that I trust, you know, Derek White, wide open threes, Al Horford, you know, you trust him in those moments. He's clutch. He's clutch in the fourth quarters. Jaylen Brown got right to his spot. You know, Tatum, wide open shots. So that's number one. I think number two, more than the Mitchell Robinson thing, the biggest thing that bothered me from like a schematic standpoint was Al playing all 12 fourth quarter minutes, because I think he just ran out of steam, and they have talented players on this team that could have given him a few minutes, whether that's more Luke Cornett, whether that's even more Kristaps, because it seems like he could have done another couple minutes there, whether it's more Peyton Pritchard, who I would have loved to see play more in the fourth quarter. I didn't love the Kristaps minutes
looking back on it.
Yeah, they were better in the second half, but they felt a little bit like maybe they got the most they could have even gotten. Like, he hit a few shots, but I don't know that I would have been able to replicate that over a larger
Bridges
period.
was able to guard him pretty easily. I'm worried about him, and we'll get to him in just a second here. We're proud about Prize Picks. Go over there. All the playoff performers are in action right now. Tatum, Brunson, Jokic, Shea. I mean, they scored like 149 in that game. This is a great time to go over there. All the stars are in action. Tatum, Brunson, Shea, Jokic. And they're all putting up some massive numbers. Check out their points, their rebounds, their assists. I love going over there to see what they're going to do on any given night. And if you pick more or less on 2 player stat projections, you have your team and can win up to 2,000 times your cash over there on Prize Picks. So go check it out right now. Use the code CLNS. Play a $5 lineup. Get a $50 bonus over there when you play that first $5 lineup over on Prize Picks. That's $5. Get 50 with code CLNS on Prize Picks. Go check it out. Prize Picks, run your game. So we talked about Porzingis here today. Again, what I garnered from it is there's some hope that he's in a better position to maybe play more and be more effective on Saturday after a couple of days off here. So that makes me feel a little better about him. It's not the resignation that I felt last night that this is over for him to some degree, that he's just trying to grind out what he can, but he's not there at this point. If he can be closer to Kristaps next game, that makes me feel a lot better about this series, but we just don't have a lot of certainty or information there right now.
Yeah, I think the reality is that it's been so unpredictable. It's been so up and down with Kristaps that maybe he feels really good right now, but there's in the back of everybody's mind is like these crashes have kind of been unpredictable. Like I remember the Lakers game in March, he told a fan on Instagram, like, I'll be ready to go. And then he later told us, I went to go warm up for that game and I couldn't do it. So I think remains a question mark. Nobody wants to hinge their hopes of this comeback on Kristaps' availability, but certainly you'll take anything that he can give you. And I didn't love his minutes yesterday, but he had a couple big plays and it could have gone worse, honestly, considering the fact that he looked a little bit lethargic out there. So if they win yesterday, I think we go back to and say, he gave them what he could, and he had some big time plays. But the reality that Al had to play 12 minutes in that fourth quarter, and I think you saw it take a toll on his defense, on his rebounding, and on his shot making. This is a guy that rests on back-to-backs, right? This is a guy that they've managed his minutes for years now, and he's kind of playing really heavy minutes because of Kristaps' availability. I thought they could have gone more Luke, honestly. I thought Luke has been really good for the most part throughout these two games, and so I would have liked to see just maybe some more fourth quarter Luke minutes just to get some fresh legs in there, because the Knicks are cycling through guys a little bit even more, and they're used to playing these crazy minutes that everybody's critiqued tips for all year.
I want to see more Luke. I want to see more Pritchard. I know you do too. I don't know how they get to it. Like, do they go super small? I think that's something I want to at least see them try here, even with Towns and Robinson being on that other side. Can space the floor out a little better. Maybe they can play faster in a lineup like that. Again, it's tough to say they should overhaul stuff when they've been up 20 in each games here, but it does feel like they've underutilized the bench a little bit.
So that's why I don't think you overhaul your game plan, right? Because your game plan has put you in position to win both of these games, and the playoffs are all about executing down the stretch. So to me, it's how can you put yourself in a better position to execute down the stretch and without kind of overhauling everything. I actually think more Luke minutes would have alleviated some of the late game issues with Al Horford.
Instead of fouling Robinson, go to double big with Luke.
So that's one. And then I think Pritchard, honestly, like I was thinking about whether or not I wanted to make this point today, because I know, obviously I've been a big advocate for his game.
No, I agree with you.
But he has actually been one of their better defenders in this postseason run. He's navigated screens incredibly well. He has not lost focus the way that some of his other teammates have off ball and things like that in transition. And offensively, he's not in a shooting slump. He's actually not. He hit 2 of 4. He had 2 of 4 threes in that fourth quarter yesterday, which I know isn't great, but they went 2 of 11. They went 2 of 11 from the field. So again, Pritchard isn't having an opportunity to show us that he's not in a shooting slump because he's not taking that many shots, but it was desperate times yesterday. And at the end of the day, he's not just some guy off the bench that scores in bunches. He's your sixth man of the year.
The question though, who's he playing over?
It's not one guy. It's like, at a certain point, if Derek doesn't have it, if Drew doesn't have it, if anybody, it's like
Al.
I think if they can go small. I mean, I think there's a challenge with going small. But if you're going to play those heavy minutes, you might be worth the risk. And they weren't getting rebounds anyways, right? Like the offense. Although I have to give credit to Al. Al had a massive defensive rebound late that you could tell he left it all out there.
Yep,
so
I saw that one. Yeah.
I'm not putting this game on Al at all.
No, but he had a tough night.
But it's tough to put that load on him when you actually do have other guys available. And I think Peyton Pritchard should have gotten a more extended run in this game. And it's not the reason why they lost, but we're talking about here, the margin these are 1-point losses, right? So it's like a little bit of relief could make all the difference. And I have more faith in his ability to hit shots right now than most guys in this roster, because he actually has been hitting them.
Yeah, it's a tough spot that they're in, where you're just trying to think, all right, what should you change? What should you go away from? When again, you're up 20 in both of these games, that should make you feel good. The shooting could come around. That should make you feel good. But when you do get into some of these depth questions that they have, like the Porzingis one, which I don't know where that's going to go. If it's what it was last night, that's really concerning to me. And then the Hauser absence, I think, is significant too, even though he hasn't done a ton in these playoffs. Just his presence out there and being able to use a guy like that to shake up your lineups, spell Horford, not put as much pressure on Tatum and Brown, do everything. In a series like this where you need some shooting, Porzingis' shooting being missing, Hauser's shooting being missing, even Pritchard's limited attempts that you're getting out of a guy like that is tough. Like, they're just putting so much pressure on Tatum and Brown right now when this team's been at its best utilizing everybody else.
Yeah, and that's the difference. Like I think if you look at last year was all about the other guys stepping up. So Tatum and Brown have struggled massively. Like nobody's going to deny that. I think they're going to turn it around. But the difference of why they lost last night's game, I think, was they didn't really have anybody else to kind of step up in those moments. I mean, there were some quintessential Derek White threes that like he never misses, and he missed them yesterday. And I don't want to put it all on shot making, but ultimately you have to make shots, and they weren't able to do that at all in that fourth quarter yesterday. They didn't have a field goal for 8.5 minutes. Like you can't win a playoff game like that.
No, and their crunch time execution has been great all postseason so far. They had a close loss to the Magic in that series, and now a couple here. How are you feeling? You weren't feeling great last night. Are you more confident now with them going to New York that they could maybe turn the series around?
I think the more removed I am from the like emotions of being in the building during the collapse, I have a little bit more faith in this team. I also will say on the rewatch, the
rewatch was really encouraging.
It was really encouraging. It was encouraging, but also I was like, if I was a coach, I would be like, I don't know. Like
here's the discouraging thing though, is that they started passing up shots and the whole too many three things got them a little
but
bit.
I think they're gonna fix that because the overcorrection it backfired.
The practice made me feel better about that.
I feel better about this team right now, and I think this is not 3-0. I was talking a little bit last night. I was rewatching the show. I was talking like they were down 3-0. It was a 3-0.
Like no one ever does this.
Like history has to be made here. It's not 3-0, it's 2-0.
But John said it last night. You're so close to 3. Like one hot shooting night, and anything.
But hey, listen, you also could win 4 in a row. Like anything can happen here, right? Drew Holiday's been on teams that have done this, and I actually don't think the home road thing matters all that much because they've been better on the road than at home, and the Knicks have been better on the road too.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens here.
Playoffs.
But mark me, I was at the kind of the top panic. I think I'm moving a little bit more towards the middle of the road here.
Jimmy territory. I feel good. I said it last night. I have Celtics in 7.
And that makes me nervous.
Be nervous if you want to. I've stayed confident throughout this series, and I still like this matchup for the Celtics. I still don't feel like the Knicks have played out of this world. John said that last night. I fully agree with that. But Celtics are in a tough place mentally right now where you have to be able to reset and stick to that game plan when shots aren't going and not try to change too much, but figure out how to reset your lineup when you have 2 important guys who just aren't able to fill the roles that they normally do here. So that's the thing that's given me a little bit of pause and concern right now. But how are you feeling going to New York? What do you think these games are going to look like?
I think we're going to see battles. I don't think we're going to see a blowout. I think these games are going to come down to the wire.
That's
again.
What they've been.
Yeah, and that's what I expected from the series. I just expected the Celtics late game execution to be a little bit better, and maybe the kind of the law of averages will even out here, and then they'll start hitting some.
All right, that's it for us here at practice. For Noah Dalzell, I'm Bobby Manning. Check out Noah's You Got Boston podcast. We got some other Garden reports coming up over the next 2 days too, with a couple of guests here. So check those out as well. Show some love to our sponsor Prize Picks here, and we're off to New York. MSG, the atmosphere everyone's been talking about. I'm really looking forward to this.
It's going to be even crazier than we knew when we were talking about going into this arena in the series. City's definitely going to be electric, but I think they're going to kind of feed off of that as well.
Yep. So I thought this was a good practice. Go check out the pressers. Tatum, Horford, Joe all talked here as well on CLNS Media. Subscribe there. Subscribe to Celtics All Access. And for Noah Dalzell, I'm Bobby Manning. This has been a practice report.
No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're going to do it.
You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to feel that way.
Let's
Fly Dal over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke